Hey, good morning. Hi, guys. There's Chris. How are you? Hey, Adam. Welcome aboard. Happy Sunday, everyone. Mr. Blodgett. Tuck Garage. Yeah, me too, Adam. Should be fun. Oops. Trying to acknowledge everyone here. You're going too fast for me. So, happy Sunday morning from the wilds of New Hampshire. It's time for another PFG IG Live. And today we're going to be joined by Stefan Gotteswinter, who is, I see, showing up. Good morning, Stefan. I hope you got your coffee. Let's see. Florian, welcome aboard. Machinist Guru. Awesome. I have your request, and I'll add you in a minute. I'll get rid of the preliminaries first, and then we'll bring you right in. So, my name, if you're just joining us this morning, is Spencer Webb. My company, my shop is Kinetic Precision. And when I'm not doing machining fun stuff, I'm upstairs right there doing antenna design. Laney Machine Tech, also known as Adam, asks, is there any way to see the comments from previous recordings, or are they lost forever? I am very sorry, but the comments are lost forever. This is why you hear me repeat the questions, because when we save the video, that's the only way they get saved. So I apologize. If we ever switch over to or add a YouTube Live, I believe YouTube does keep the comments. And we'll talk about that. We're on a growth curve here, and I think it might make sense someday to do that. I tried it once. I did a simultaneous YouTube Live and Instagram Live, and the number of people that joined in on the YouTube Live was 0. So it was not encouraging. But then again, times change. So getting the preliminaries out of the way. If you're interested in, let me see if I could read that. Yes, Bummerino. Nice. I like that. If you're interested in precision stones, there's the website. That's the only commercial I'm going to give you today. And what else is going on? We'll give you an update on monochromatic light sources. Interesting things happening there. And I'm going to just bring Stefan in because we're going to incorporate all of this into our discussions today. Plus, we're going to give away a McMaster-Carr catalog. So, are you ready for this, Stefan? I'm going to hit the button. T. Sanchez says, Sunday black belt series of stoned stuff. I like it. Yes. Here we're going to talk about stoned things. So I hit the button, and any second now, something weird's going to happen. It happened. Hey.
Hi.
It's amazing that this works.
That's great. Cool.
Well, let me get my volume up here. All this technical stuff we have to make work.
Am I loud enough?
Say again?
Okay. My volume?
Your volume is good.
Okay.
The only thing I would change is you have some backlight. I guess I do too. If there's any way to get a little front light on you. Oh, perfect. Oh.
We're flexible.
That's very nice. Oh, we have a Kern mug. So I was triggered by Robin the other week, and I had to get my ginger beer out. So this is, for those of you keeping score at home, this is Trader Joe's triple ginger brew, which is a rare treat for me. It's pretty good. So, and there's no alcohol, so don't worry. Well, good afternoon.
Yeah, good evening on my side.
It's evening. It's almost dinner time, right?
Yeah,
So thanks for joining us today.
yeah, thanks for having me.
I've been looking forward to it. Have you been following the lapping fever that we have caught?
Yes, but I have not watched Robin's the live stream with Robin.
Oh, it's on my.
Not yet. Not yet. It's still on
Yeah.
my watch list.
It was truly out of control, and hopefully today will be equally out of control. But he somehow we got triggered on lapping, I guess, from some of his posts. So now I am starting to build monochromatic light sources, which is also Adam's fault at Laney Machine Tech, and we're having some fun. So I was a little worried today because we had a power outage, and and we only got power back about 15 minutes before showtime here, which may or may not have affected us, but thankfully it's all fixed. I was in the shop and I actually heard a transformer blow up somewhere, and then the lights went off, and I'm like, oh, this is
Oh, that's great.
great.
Good start.
So we don't have any super particular topics today. Thank you very much for your most recent video on drilling on the lathe.
Much controversial topic of drilling with the carriage.
I loved it. You know what I liked best about what you taught? That's perfect.
No, it's better.
I like the fact that the little observe the bit as it touches, and you could watch it twitch.
Yeah, you can see like 50 microns that way.
Yeah, that was brilliant, and that was worth the whole price of admission right there. So thank you. So that was a great video, and folks, if you have questions today, the best way to ask them is if you have your app. On the bottom, there might be a little question mark in a dialog bubble. And if you hit that, you could put a question in, and it goes into a question queue, which is really nice. If you don't have that, it's okay to put it in the chat. But I have to warn you, the chat is busy.
It will go past by fast.
It goes flying by. So we'll do our best to catch you. But so, Stefan, if you could help me with one piece of administration here, we have to give away a McMaster-Carr catalog.
The holy catalog.
The holy catalog. So,
do they still not give it away to everyone?
It's U.S. only, just because of shipping problems. And no, they're still pretty hard to get. I think because it's really expensive to make.
Okay.
But I don't, I get it because I'm a customer, a big, an ample customer, but I don't really need it. So I'm going to swing the camera around if I can figure out how to do it. There we go. Stefan, would you please pick a number between 1 and 5?
3.
3. So I'm going to click the generate button 3 times. 1, 2, 3, and we have a random number. That's number 10. Now we switch over to our spreadsheet, and number 10 is K. Howard 279. You're the man.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Absolutely. So K. Howard 279, if you're with us today, drop me a DM. I'm going to write your name down here, and I will send you a McMaster-Carr catalog, number 128. Isn't that awesome?
Speaking of McMaster-Carr catalog, have you ever seen the art piece from Tom Sachs, who made a bronze casting of a McMaster-Carr catalog?
I did not.
I will put later. I will send you a link later.
Okay,
That's great.
It. That's awesome. Yeah, it is the holy Bible, and they're great guys. One of the things about, and this is not a McMaster-Carr commercial, one of the things about McMaster-Carr is if you need something and they don't carry it, all you have to do is tell them what you want. and they will get it for you.
Will they put it in their online catalog then for you, or just ship it to you?
They will assign it a special part number.
Mm-hmm.
I think it starts 999, something like that. And then all you do is you order that part number, and they take care of everything.
Oh,
But
that's neat.
it is pretty neat. They're nice people. They're super nice people. So, yeah, let's see. We have some questions coming in, so let's just jump into it and let's just make sure I didn't miss any in the chat here. Right. Here we go. Let's go with this one first. Indiana John asks, any tips on making annular cutters? Have you ever made an annular cutter?
More like a tree panning cutter on the lathe, but not a real annular cutter. I would start with a piece of pipe and braze in some carbide and then grind it.
Sure.
Take a piece of pipe, cut 3, 4, 6 flutes in it. Maybe not even cut flutes, but plunge in with an end mill from the top and braze in a round piece of carbide, and then grind the flute through the carbide. Something like that, if that makes any sense.
It makes a lot of sense. I'm not sure I ever thought about making one, but a trepanning tool makes sense as something that's makeable. But and I've also heard about people using just copper pipe and a abrasive compound.
Yeah, I tried that in glass. It works, and it's absurd slow.
Yeah, you got to have a little time. Okay, that's a good one. That's a good start. Let's see. We'll go right into another one here. Favorite or preferred brand of lapping compound? What grits would you suggest someone starting out to purchase?
Whoa. Do we talk? Well, I would start with a generic silicon carbide lapping compound, like a Wells lapping compound. Time saver.
This is Clover.
Oh.
Which is, I think, a silicon carbide.
I like silicon carbide because it cuts very fast and aggressive, but it also breaks down extremely fast. It will get a very fine compound after some use, and you will go into the finer grits automatically, in my experience. And it doesn't charge into a lap as much, it seems. It's more
as much as diamond.
Yeah.
And this is Adam B from Laney Machine Tech was talking about the fact that the carrier material for the lapping compounds are actually highly engineered, and so he was advising against trying to formulate your own.
Well, I played around with. I have loose silicon carbide grit from somebody who makes super lapping stones for a company, and I tried to mix it with light oils, with WD-40, with isopropyl alcohol (IPA), with mixed results. But in general, 400 grit silicon carbide is a good point to start. Will give a matte finish usually. If the grain is rolling, when it starts to break down and embed, you can get a very good finish with it. If we're talking super abrasives, diamond, I like 7 microns, 3.5 micron, and 1 micron diamond for the stuff I do.
Excellent.
I'm not sure if a manufacturer here would make sense because I'm here in Germany and we have our local supplies.
So you've answered one of the overarching questions of the day, which is micro inches or microns.
Micron.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
That was
Let's see. And what are you drinking today?
black coffee.
Okay. You know, people
And I have water here.
people always want to know. Okay, here's a follow-up question from Indiana John. That cutter would be used in a lathe to turn down a shoulder on the end of a 3/16 stud down to 1/18. So if you're in a lathe, go ahead.
That's almost. Oh, sorry, didn't want to.
I'm trying to understand it. So he's in a lathe, and he's got a 3/16 stud, and he's going to turn it down to 1/18, and he wants to use an annular cutter.
That's almost like a box tool on an automatic lathe, on a screw machine. That would be another idea to look for. A box tool. That's a lathe tool. You have your cutter on one side, and you have almost like a traveling steady rest on the back side, and it supports the material while you're cutting the diameter. This will allow you to cut very long, thin diameters without additional support. The tool itself supports the material while it's cutting. So maybe that's an easier way than an annular cutter. Or what the watchmakers use is a rose cutter. That's like a piece of, they use drill rod usually. Drill the end, they file some teeth into it and harden it with a torch, and then they use it like an annular cutter.
And side question, silver steel is a term that I believe you use on your side of the pond.
That's the Brits.
Say again?
The Britons.
Oh, they call it silver steel? Okay.
Yeah, we call it drill rod, or in German, Silberstahl, which is silver steel. But that's a very vague description. It can be a lot. Usually it's a water hardening tool steel here.
Gotcha. Yeah, we use a lot of O1, which is it's drill rod, but it's the oil hardening flavor.
Yeah.
So Fad Radcater asks a critical question. What's the German ginger beer that Stefan approves of?
Well, German law does not allow ginger beer. Beer consists of, like, I think 3 ingredients, and that's it.
So
the German Reinheitsgebot, and that's, it's not a law anymore, but it exists.
So the word beer implies something very specific.
Yes.
Now, I just noticed as soon as you said that, I looked over, and this says ginger brew.
Ah!
So this is compliant with German laws. I don't want to get any. I don't want an international warrant being issued in my name.
To be honest, I have never tried something ginger-like before, so I cannot really tell.
I recommend it. Adam says, how do you justify Radler then?
That's a corner case.
Okay.
For those who don't know, Radler is beer with lemonade mixed.
Ooh.
So like a 50-50 mix.
That sounds interesting. Precisely Imprecise says, I use W1, which is our water hardening steel, for making chasing tools. It's quick and dirty for non-precision applications. If you're talking quick and dirty, you came to the right place.
Oh, yeah.
Tarsha Metalworks says, cough, Bundaberg, cough. Bundaberg is a Australian ginger beer.
Okay.
Which
My experience with Australian beers, it's that they are very close to the water.
Yeah. Let's see. Radler. Somebody else brought up Radler. Fad Ratcater says Shanty Summer. Never heard of it.
No, doesn't ring a bell.
Large format guy says, "What? You mean you don't have black cherry banana horchata flavored wheat beers?"
Oh, doch, we have those. Hipster beers.
That's awesome. You guys are out of control. Okay, Tuck Garage asks in chat, "What's the smallest size part you have worked with?"
In my own shop, the smallest parts that I made for a customer were lathe parts with turned parts out of stainless, 1.5 millimeter diameter and maybe 2 millimeter long, with radius formed onto it, and then plasma nitrided. These went into some medical application.
Cool.
So that's really one of the smallest things. And another one was for fiber optics, 1.5 millimeter diameter, 6 or 7 millimeter long, and drilled all the way through with 0.8 millimeters. It was really tiny.
I remember you posted some videos on some tiny stuff. How hard is it for you to get stuff nitrided?
Very easy. I have a plasma nitride place that does everything that's a ferrous metal. They will even do like a 303 stainless or 305 stainless. Plasma nitride takes maybe 2 weeks. I sent the stuff there. They send it back with an invoice, and very easy to deal with.
That's really cool. Robin recommended a place here in the States, which is in Ohio, I think, which I have yet to try, called Solar Atmospheres.
That's also his heat treater, I think.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to give them a try one of these days. One more question from the chat. CNC Chiliman says, "If Elon Musk money arrived in the morning,
whoa,
which mill/lathe do you purchase without hesitation?"
So after buying Twitter, I would buy a perfectly refurbished Schaubling 135 from Ruema here in Germany. They rebuilt Schaubling lathes to better than factory standard. And for a milling machine, either a Fehlmann.
Look at your mug. Look at your mug.
Or for the rough work, maybe a Kern Micro HD.
For the rough work.
No, let's talk manual machines first. A Fehlmann drill mill, they look like an import round column milling machine, like the RF 25 machines. Very nice machines, very fast for prototyping. And if you talk CNC, yeah, maybe a Kern HD, maybe, I don't know. I'm not too deep into CNC machining centers. A Röders, Marv is going to kill me. Maybe a Fehlmann CNC.
Well, there you go. I think we've spent all that money now. Let's see. Another question came in from Trey Mole. Your favorite way to clock out a headstock?
Does that mean to align the headstock with the ways of the machine? I think it does.
I think it does, yeah.
Yeah. I rough align it with a test bar, if I have a test bar. Otherwise, I will just take a piece of linear shafting in a good running collet or chuck. Align the headstock with an indicator as good as possible, and then I will test cut. I will do what's called a two-color test, because it's relatively fast to do. You take a piece of round material, you undercut the center, so you have two larger diameter on both ends. Then you take a pass here, and without disturbing the cross-slide setting, you move over and you take a cut here. You micrometer both diameters, and then you get an idea how the taper is oriented. If the part is thicker on the tailstock end, you have to rotate the headstock towards you and other way around. That's in my opinion, and I think that's also Richard King's opinion, one of the faster ways to align headstock.
So if you're taking a test cut, that sounds like it's going to include some cutting stresses.
Yes.
Another method would be to put the indicator in the tool holder and then measure a known test bar, right?
Yes, and you can do that, and you can even take out the runout arrow. The nice thing about the test cut is you don't have a runout arrow because you're truing it up. If you use just a piece of round bar, you have to deal with this. First of all, the material has to be perfectly round, like a linear shafting, and it can be bent. That's okay. You can calculate that away. You have to take a measurement on the front side and then spin it 180. Take another measurement, add those two up, divide by 2, and then you get the average.
But it sounds like the test cut is the quicker way to go.
Yes, test cut is you have a good diameter to length ratio. Otherwise, your tool will bend away the part, and of course, without tailstock.
Yep. Let's see.
Because you want to align just the headstock.
Okay, Fad Radcator, I didn't understand your last question, so we're skipping that if you want to give me a different one. Nano CNC Limited says, for M1.2, through lapped holes in 3/16 stainless, any tips on the tap? Oh, through tap. Yeah, through tap. Any tips on the tap style? Spiral point, fluteless, etc.
I don't think you have much options in M1.2 with taps. I think you can only get through taps anyways. Good cutting oil. Do you want to tap on a machine or manual? If you want to tap manual, I would make a small knurled knob and just tap by hand with the machine guiding the tap. If you want to do it on a machine, I would thread mill it. If it's a CNC, thread mill it. If it's a manual mill, tapping with the machine as a guide.
When those taps break, you won't even hear it.
Oh no, you will feel it and you will scream.
The scream is louder than anything.
And 3/16 stainless is also fun to tap. So
that's what I understand. Excellent. So from the chat, Adam B. at Laney Machine Tech says, I've got a great method which checks alignment of the headstock and the cross slide simultaneously using a special tool with a gauge ball on it. No cutting required, not mandrel either. I'll share later. So that's the teaser from Adam. We'll take it.
Now I'm curious.
Yeah, I know. It's like, wish I could bring 3 guys in here. Let's see. Bavaria CNC says, you need a beer or 2 doing that tap. You could probably use beer as a tapping fluid.
Yeah, in plastic and aluminum maybe.
Let's see. Oh, Firmworks Limited says, I've been breaking M3 taps in stainless steel this weekend on my CNC lathe.
Aww.
Welcome aboard, buddy.
Aww.
Do you ever use molybdenum disulfide?
For tapping?
Yeah.
I tried it. Didn't do much for me. Didn't change much.
Okay.
I buy a relatively good cutting oil from Yukish. It's a plant-based cutting oil, and I'm extremely happy with it. And it doesn't smell or smoke as badly.
Cool.
And I use that in basically everything. I don't use the magic cutting oil for each material.
In the old days, back when there was no Instagram, the joke was that Molly D would tap the hole for you.
Oh yeah. On Practical Machinists, there are the most weird recipes for cutting oils and cutting fluids that you to
Yeah, the Molly D jokes were plentiful. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Here's a good one. Yeah, we got two good questions in the queue, and one coming up on from chat. SG Works, or if you'll allow me, SG Works says, "Hi Stefan, Gary here from Vancouver. I have an RF45 similar to yours. How do you improve rigidity between the head and dovetail vertical column?"
So, for those who don't know, the RF45 has a vertical column with dovetailed, and the problem on these is the column is slotted through because the nut passes through to the back to the lead screw, and the whole column is relatively flexible against compression from the dovetail. So when you set the gib very tight, it will just bend the column inwards a little bit. So that's the big weak point on those machines, and you cannot do much against that. A friend of mine did something. He bolted 6 mm thick plate to the extreme back side of the column, bolted and dowel pinned it to the back, and that gave a lot of rigidity against bending inwards. Apart from that, I keep the gib on my mill relatively tight, so tight the head barely moves down under its own weight. And that's all I do.
Okay.
No magic recipe here, sorry.
Byron Kalomamas says, hey, do you use IPA on the CNC on steel as well? Ever worried about sparks from mistakes igniting it?
So the IPA on the CNC router is a great way to cut aluminum and some plastics. You cannot cut all plastics because of stress-induced cracking from the alcohol. Polycarbonate is very prone for that. And no, I don't cut steel or any other sparky materials like titanium or that with IPA. In those cases, I just run straight water-soluble coolant in the minimum quantity sprayer.
I have a plastic story. We had some parts made for a project. This is 15 years ago. And it was in Ultem. And Ultem is not inexpensive. You pay dearly. And we had a shop make the parts. So the guy that was working with me, who was a terrific guy, he was doing some assembly work on this device we were making. And he put a drop of Loctite on a screw. And you know where this is going. Mm-hmm. Put it into the Ultem part. And in seconds, before his eyes, the entire part completely reticulated and fell apart. and he was well aware of what the price of these things were, and he was mortified. And he's an awesome dude. I love him. And I went over there and I said, "This is why we bought two." So that was our lesson in Loctite on Ultem. No good. We have a dig here from Marv Groeb. I believe this was in response to talking about Molly D. He says, the real shizzle is zirconium oxide-based nanoparticle lubrication.
My tooling supplier does not carry that.
You know, if I read you that sentence and didn't tell you who said it, you'd know who said it.
Yeah.
That's very funny. Okay, so let's see. Let's grab another question out of the question bin. Wow, we got a bunch. I'm trying to take them in chronological order. Firmworks says, what's your thoughts on Adam the Machinist's 3D printed V-block concept? Now, I will point out, gentlemen, so there's no fisticuffs, that Adam the Machinist is in the chat right now. So be nice.
So I better don't say anything wrong. It would be great if it was made out of tool steel and completely hardened through and ground.
And ground. I like.
And in all honesty, it's a great concept. The inserted carbide dowels for workpiece resting makes absolutely sense. And as Adam says, you never have the right V-block. You look in your tooling catalog and, oh, great, a V-block, I will buy that and use it. And once you start making real parts, you never have a fitting V-block. It's always the same. I have cut V-blocks apart with an abrasive disc to make them fit certain parts. So to quickly iterate on V-blocks, his design is really neat.
I thought it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And the way I machine, I have a never-ending supply of small pieces of carbide cylinders.
You make them yourself?
I make them myself, yes. They're manufactured here. One question. Let's see. Did we miss any in chat? No. Let's go to the next one. Fad Radcater says, Steph, thanks for the additional information on Robin's D-bit modifications. Are you posting your development drawing?
I I have a stack of hand sketches for example, for the needle bearing modifications, and I have a very crude 3D model for the long travel modification. I can do a post on the sketches. Just it won't be super helpful, but you will get an idea of what I did, and you can go from there. It's probably more than enough information to develop your own solution for that. I can definitely post those sketches because I like sketching.
Okay. I really enjoyed your the modifications you did. I thought that was
Thanks. Yeah, that escalated a little bit. I just wanted to fix the swivel bearing, and then I was like, could do Robin's mod while I'm here too.
And then when you're all, it's like stone soup. When you're all done, it's a totally different machine.
Yeah.
So this new guy called Laney Machine Tech says, can you walk us through your procedure for cylindrical grinding and any special things to take note of regarding geometry and surface finish? And he, in another post, he says, my question should also be extended to cylindrical lapping.
So cylindrical grinding, I never learned it. I did it try and error. I have two ways of doing it with between centers. I have the center fixture where I drive the part with no ring, or as usual with like an Herrick grindle. Very similar. And with finish, I never really had issues. I usually grind regular tool steels that are not highly alloyed. I grind them with a 46 grit aluminum oxide wheel, and I get a finish that's very, very, very usable. If I need a finer finish, I use a 60 grit 3SG wheel, a Norton wheel. I like that a lot because the corner holds up extremely well when you do peel grinding. It's crazy expensive wheel, of course, so I don't use it for everything. What I learned when grinding between centers, the off-center mass of the drive dog will make the part out of round, first of all. The quality of the center matters. I didn't believe that at first, but it influences the roundness of the part.
Wow.
So what I do now is I have a 60-degree 60-degree carbide deburr bit from which you would run in a CNC mill, and I use that to recut the centers after hardening.
Ah,
I think I showed that in the D-bit grinder rebuild video very quickly.
so you said something very interesting, which is that the off-center mass of the dog is actually influencing the part, which I find quite interesting. Pretty cool. I hope we address some of that, Laney. I dug up the notes I took on the 3x5 file card from your video on the 3-facet spotting drill.
Oh, that's a neat tool.
I want to make one. So did I mention I have a collection of these cylindrical pieces of silicon carbide? So I'm gonna make one. I think that's really neat.
I learned from Danny Rudolph about those. They are a commercial product from Mitsubishi Carbide.
Oh, really?
So you can buy them. They are not crazy expensive, but if you have a grinder with a diamond wheel or a milling machine with a diamond wheel, you can make them yourself.
Pretty neat. Hey, Indiana John has a good idea. He says, sounds like the drive dog needs a balancing ring kind of thing. That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Even if it just has you have the drive leg, it could have a dummy leg.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a great idea.
Yeah. Another thing you can do, you can increase the overall mass of the drive dog. If you ever have seen a drive dog from a cylindrical grinder, they're not like a traditional lathe dog. They're just a massive round disc with a hole in it where the drive pin of the spindle will drive the work.
It sounds totally balanceable.
Yeah, you can balance it with a cordless drill and with putting holes in it.
I never thought I'd hear the phrase balance it with a cordless drill, but no.
Or you can drive the work without a dog, just like Robin does with a pulley directly on the work, and then with an O-ring, which makes very much sense.
Yep, makes a lot of sense. So I think we've cleared out the queue here. Let's see. So I want to ask you about your new grinder. I'm having so much fun watching you drive this new grinder. It's awesome.
Oh, it's such a nice machine.
So, what size wheel are you using?
So the grinder is built for 125 millimeters wheels. That's 5 inches.
5-inch wheel, yeah.
About. And up to 20 millimeter wide wheels, which is a bit of a stretch because a 20 millimeter wide wheel will put a lot of strain on everything. I keep it to 13 millimeter wide wheels, which would be a half-inch wheel.
Yep.
20 millimeter bore, so I can use, for example, cutoff wheels from an angle grinder, 5-inch angle grinder cutoff wheels. They have a 22 and a little bit diameter bore, and with a reducer sleeve, I can use those on the grinder. And 3M makes those Cubitron cutoff wheels. Normal grinding wheel is dirt, and the Cubitron wheels are precision dirt glued together, and they cut.
What's the Norton 3-digit code for dirt?
93C, I think.
I'm going to order those. That's very funny. Well, that sounds neat. That machine, because the other day I was setting up something on the ground. Actually, I was doing some lips on stones. Mm-hmm. So I've got my head laying on the table, stuck in, bent over, and I'm visually trying to get everything lined up while I pick up my zero reference. And I thought of you. I thought of you in your leather-bound easy chair, right?
Sitting in front of the wheel.
With your brass telescope looking right down the pipe.
I already have a microscope here that I will put in front of the wheel for certain grinding operations.
It makes so much sense for doing, fine work. It's awesome.
I saw that machine years ago at a trade show, and when I asked them about the price, like 20,000 euros. That was 10 years ago almost, I think.
Yeah.
And these days it's more like 40K.
But,
the machine, it's a manual grinder. There is not much to break on it. If I don't decide to sell it, I will have it until I retire or fall into a wooden box.
Wooden box? Come on.
Cardboard.
Don't waste all that wood. Let's see. Well, if you guys have any questions, we've got some room. So fire away.
Otherwise, we can walk over to the grinder.
Yeah, sure. You can go take a walk. And,
this will become a nice rumble, right?
We'll go mobile.
Yeah. 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 Okay, there we are. There's the grinder.
That's so awesome. Of course, it looks backwards now on Instagram, but
yeah, flip the camera around.
There we go.
So this is operator perspective. You sit like this and you look kind of by the side of the wheel, but you can move your head in and you look straight at the wheel. Of course, the wheel is spinning away from you. It's spinning this way. So if you shoot a part, it will go downrange, not in your face. And to be fair, the machine comes with a clear 6mm thick polycarbonate guard here, which I'm not sure, it got lost or something.
Yeah, it must have been misplaced.
Yeah. You have the huge handle on the side to do the table movement. And down feed here, cross traverse up here on both sides, which is nice when you do cylindrical grinding, because then the right hand can be on the traverse and the left hand can do diameter adjustment. We have the very nice Heidenhain DRO here. I set it to 1 micron readout. I can set it to, I think, 2 more digits. These are analog scales and they can't interpolate that accurate. But this is practical. This is the practical limit.
So I have to ask, at what temperature?
See that?
Yeah.
That's an issue. I did, especially as the machine is a hybrid construction, it's steel and aluminum. I have to be a little bit careful when I turn the heater in this room on.
Yeah, that's all.
The column will grow in height a little bit and also in this direction. But when I do small parts, it's usually really not an issue.
It's just so ergonomically well designed.
And the tilting spindle, at first I was thinking it might be a little bit of a gimmick, but it's really useful when you do. Just the other week I was doing a 4-degree chamfer on aluminum parts. Normally I would put a sign magnet on here and hold the parts on the magnet that way, but aluminum is not magnetic. So I just tilted the head by 4 degrees and could keep the parts on the table on a super glue chuck.
What are you doing for any sort of cooling when you're grinding aluminum?
I have cutting oil in a bottle that I will spread on the part and just grind that way. The machine is not set up for wet grinding. It has no coolant trough or something like that. It's really a dry grinder.
So apparently I was telepathically channeling Bart Harkema, who says, do you use coolant for the grinder? Tips for dealing with heat when using dry, ?
So I grind everything dry. I use wheels that tend to grind relatively cool. like a relatively coarse 46 grit. I will do something about the flicker in a second. A 46 grit aluminum oxide wheel will always grind relatively cool in steel. And in aluminium, 46 grit silicon carbide wheel with a relatively fast dress. Dress the aluminum oxide with about 300 to 400 millimeters per minute speed. That's the nice thing about the DRO. It shows you the speed you're moving or traversing. So you get a little bit of parametric control on a manual grinder. And that way the wheel cuts relatively free. And in combination with a cutting oil, it doesn't load up.
So just in case there's some people joining us that aren't grinder guys, when you dress the wheel with a diamond, like if there's your wheel and you dress the wheel with a diamond, the speed that you move that diamond across the wheel as you're dressing it determines kind of how smooth the wheel is when you're finished. And when Stefan says a fast dress, it's moving that diamond across quickly. So you almost put almost like putting a thread on the wheel, but not as egregious, and that tends to grind cooler.
Yeah.
So Unix Carbide asked us a question. He says, social question from a home hack. all you generally have taught me about the world of precision. I think that's a compliment. What kinds of things do you think would enable more people to do more precision work? What are the barriers to entry?
The barrier of entry is I think it's thinking that you either cannot do it or you don't need it. That I read and write a lot in a hobby forum with a lot of hobbyists, and there the common consensus is very often, you don't need to work that precise at home. And that's a gross generalization, I think. If making tooling is your hobby in machining or in home model engineering, precision is an issue or is a goal. So many people seem to, how to say that in words.
Well, I like your approach, which is.
If I need precision, I will try to make it precise. Of course, it will take longer in the beginning, but you will, in general, get faster with the precise work, and you will get even faster if you do medium precision stuff like general machine work.
Excellent.
You'll get extremely fast at indicating stuff, checking stuff, understanding how clamping pressure and cutting pressure affects your setup. All that will teach you a lot.
And I'm going to provide a little counterpoint. I think you need to know when to not be precise.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I
will just use a handheld drill.
Yeah, to balance the precision setup, of course. Here's a question that we couldn't have avoided. Eunice Fritz asks, "Hey Stefan, having heard that you don't make PFGs," I think he means precision ground stones, because PFG is a trademark.
I think I call mine precision bench stones.
Precision bench stones. Anymore, I can't help but be even prouder of my pair. I think he means his pair of stones.
I hope so.
What? I'm sorry. I'll behave. They are the nicest in the tool making shop I work for. Would you grind them over in a few years?
Yeah. I have a regrind option on the sales page.
As a fellow stone grinder, I think any of us would be happy to give your stones whoever you bought them from would be happy to give them a spot.
To be honest, my own ones look all like crap. They are beat up, they are dirty, and the edges are all banged up, and they still work.
They still work.
I don't even put them in the ultrasonic cleaner or something like that. I just, when they get too sticky from oil and stuff like that, which they shouldn't, because you shouldn't stone stuff that's oily, I just wipe them down with alcohol.
So the very first set that I ever made, which was it was a picture on Instagram that started my whole thing, right? I still use them. They're right over there. Use them every single week. Jarrett 1857 says, and once you get to making precise work, overall it produces results faster. In other words, cutting to a specific diameter, for example, everything else, use a welder.
Yeah. To be honest, on the lathe, for plus minus 50 micron diameter work, I don't need to measure anything after I did my initial passes to calibrate my tool. Then I can just go by the DRO because I know how everything behaves.
And that's a really good point too, is you get a feel for where all your flex is and all your flop is. This new guy named Adam B at Laney Machine Tech says, learning to do precise work will make lower precision work easier and faster, and working precisely will make processing parts easier, as in fixturing. Nice.
Yes. Yeah. When I was still doing CNC milling at work, I often worked with prepared stock where I precise the stock to a cube. And the preciser that step was, the easier was the processing afterwards, because you put it up against the stop, and every dimension of that stop was always the same.
Yep. Bart Harkema says, precision machinist stones might be another way to refer to them, but he says, but not sure PMS would be a good name. We agree. Precision machinist stones, PMS, would not be a good name. Moving on. Let's pull one out of the queue here. Okay, here's one. Mr. Blocked asks, when grinding a radius on the D bit, how do you indicate the offset of the work? The scale is poor.
It is. On the original Deckel, the D-bit grinder's scale was very good and had a vernier. On the import machines, you don't have that. Once you have your blank centered to the axis of rotation, to the swivel motion, you can use an indicator to offset it. Just put an indicator somewhere on the machine base and rest the plunger against the work or against the bit you're grinding and moving it over that way. That will give you a more precise way. Or you grind your radius, then you use a radius gauge if it's semi-precise work.
Excellent. P. Mueller 92 says, knowing when not to be very precise in Stefan's terms means aligning the shed with a dial test indicator. That's pretty good. Let's see. We have another one. Fad Radcater asks, what's the spindle speed of that grinder?
6,300 RPM, I think, on the spindle.
That's a fast one.
It's a 3,000 RPM motor, and there's a belt, not reduction, but increasing to the highest speed.
Is there a VFD driving that? I assume there is.
No.
Yeah.
That's a single speed machine, but I will put a VFD in. I want the option to make wheels behave differently.
So there's not one in there as standard?
No.
Okay. The James Howe asks, what projects are you most enthusiastic about, or which do you find most interesting or enjoyable?
The coolest projects are usually the science and research projects that I get from an engineer that I work for. Unfortunately, those are also the projects that I can show the least of.
Yeah.
Most of that is not strictly NDA, but nobody wants those parts to be seen somewhere on the internet. On personal projects, it's usually tooling. Precision tooling is really fun to make. Like a simple V-block is really fun to make. And a V-block is also a quite challenging project to make.
Yeah. I just ordered 3D printed V-blocks from this guy in Ohio.
Best way to make them.
And that is also a common problem here, is that my antenna work that I do for my clients, I can't show any of it. So it's one of those things. So we can only show our fun projects. Well, let's see. We're coming up on the top of the hour here. It's generally when we wrap it up. I think our question queue is empty.
Whoa.
And no, of course, one popped in. Oh, okay. This is a good wrap-up question. What is missing? This is from Hardinge 1966. What is missing in Stefan's tool armory?
That's a good one. To be honest, I have everything that I need. What I would love to have is a optical comparator or a larger toolmaker's microscope. I have the small Isoma toolmaker microscope, but it has only 25 millimeters of travel on X and Y. And a large optical comparator or floor standing one, which I don't have room for because they're huge, would be a real nice addition.
I've been keeping an eye out for optical comparators that are local, because if you buy them, they're big.
Yeah, and you don't want to put them on a pallet and ship them with a freight carrier around.
No, then they become formerly optical comparators.
Then you can learn how to make a new glass for it.
Yeah, just like Robin did. He had to make the fancy inscribed glass, which of course he did because Robin. Okay, guys. Well, thanks so much, Stefan. Thank you so much for taking the time and joining us today. That was
that was real fun. Thanks for having me.
Would you come back?
I would. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting for somebody to say to me, "Never." All right. Well, that's a lot of fun. We'll see you on the Discord server.
Yeah.
At some point. Everybody, thanks for joining us today and giving Stefan a workout here. We do this every Sunday at the same bat time, same bat channel, 1700 Zulu. Oh, Zulu or GMT?
For the military guys, Zulu. For the civilians, GMT.
Okay, we'll take it.
I would say.
So 17 GMT next Sunday. I don't see any impediments. We'll be back here. Stefan, thanks so much. I look forward to shaking your hand one of these days.
Yeah, I hope I make it ever to the U.S.
You let me know when, and if you ever, if you need a place to stay, you've got it. All right, everyone. Have a great day. Go enjoy your shop. Take care, folks.
See you. Bye.
Bye.